Microsoft's adding new hardware to their Design for Xbox program. Remember a few weeks ago when those, maybe it was months at this point, where those B&O headsets came out? They were like $500, but they had that Design for Xbox badge on it. And there were some other peripherals that have come out. Well, Microsoft is back at it again, and today they are expanding their Design for Xbox program. Now, in a nutshell, what this is supposed to mean is that if you see this green badge right here on a device, you're going to get the best possible experience using your Xbox. And so that's what Microsoft is doing today, is they're slapping that badge on for, I believe, the first time onto monitors and displays. Because let's be honest, picking out a display is kind of tricky. I spent a lot of time doing research to get the LG that I have to make sure it took advantage of as many features as it could for when I bought it and all that good stuff, because not all HDMI is created equal. Not all displays are created equal. Some support 144, or I should say 120 hertz. Some support HDR. Some support Dolby Vision. Some support HDR10. And so if you're not like deep in the trenches of spec ops, it can be a little challenging to find a display. So what Microsoft is trying to do here is they're like saying, hey, if you see this green badge on a display, you're going to get all the features that the next generation consoles, the X and the S, support. So that is what they are doing, is they're throwing them on displays. And keep in mind, these are going to be premium displays. So the first couple of displays that they are announcing are the Philips Momentum 559 M1 IRYV 55 inches. Just remember Philips Momentum. It's $1599. It's a big boy. I believe it's about 55 inches, and it's going to get you HDMI 2.1, 120 hertz, and everything that you would expect. Also, a high display or high brightness display with HDR 1000. And then there's also the Asus Strix Xbox Edition Gaming Monitor XG43UQ is actually the spec number, or the SKU number. But again, it's doing the same thing where you're going to have 4K visuals, low latency input, 120 hertz gaming, HDMI 2.1, and AMD FreeSync Premium Pro. And then there's also the Acer Xbox Edition Gaming Monitor XV28K KV28. God, this is really hard to mouth off. But again, for $950. And so what it really breaks down to is these displays are going to support all HDMI 2.1 features, and it's, again, just making things a little bit easier. Microsoft is also dipping its toes into the cable matters market, if you will. They're putting the Design for Xbox on HDMI 2.1 cables, but keep in mind you may not need one, because one does come in the box, at least as of the time of the recording. When I got my initial one, my Series X, it did come in the box with an HDMI 2.1 cable that as long as you use it, you will unlock all the features. So there's three things to remember. You need the console, which for some people already have, some people are trying to get. You're going to need the cable that supports all the features, and then you also need a device. And so with this Design for Xbox, Microsoft is trying to make that journey easier, because I'm fully on board that it can be quite confusing trying to get all this stuff. That being said, just because it doesn't have a Design for Xbox logo on it doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't support all the features. I'm assuming that Microsoft is probably charging a premium, or at least some sort of licensing fee, to put that sticker on their devices, with the the end goal being that, hey, this is going to sell more product for the manufacturers. That being said, you can definitely go out there and find HDMI 2.1 cables that will support all the features and functionality that are not part of this program. You can also more than likely go out and find displays. The key right now is that HDMI 2.1, despite being around for a little bit, is still kind of hard to find, because it's a very high bandwidth intensive port that needs to be supported. So you're not going to find it on budget displays. Right now, it's still in that premium category, and that's what separates effectively high-end displays from low-end displays, is HDMI 2.1. So just keep that in mind as you go out shopping for displays, trying to get the maximum value out of your console. Also, just to clear the table, you don't need one of these displays to be actually utilize a new console. You might be missing out on some features, but you could definitely take your Series X, plug it into any HDMI TV, and it will work. You just might be missing some of those high HDR features or something like that, or high refresh rate depending on your display. So just keep that in mind as you go out and shopping, and you can always add one later. And so I would expect that we will see more displays adding to this Design for Xbox category, especially if Microsoft can prove that it will help move devices as we move forward. But I would also expect, honestly, that if you have a PlayStation 5, this Design for Xbox stuff will probably work pretty well on that side of the table too. So just keep that in mind as you go out shopping for new displays. This stuff is coming around, and as always, we'll catch you right back here next time.